Now, White Pine County Daily News with Wyatt Cox.
And KELY News, sponsored by Sahara Motors, the Kawasaki KX450 built out of the box with everything you need to dominate the track. Check it out today at Sahara Motors and let the good times roll. We got up to 92 degrees yesterday. We expect another scorcher today. Look for the high around 94. Triple-digit heat could return to Ely this weekend. Forecasters say highs will flirt with the century mark. If we hit 100, it'll be the first time since July of 2024. Because of our mile-high elevation, 100-degree days, incredibly rare, happening only a handful of times since weather records began in the late 1800s. The city's all-time record high, 101, last seen back in 2002. Yesterday's story about how the decline in hydroelectric power from Lake Mead affecting small electric companies in rural Nevada is of indirect concern to Mount Wheeler Power CEO Kevin Robison. He told us in a telephone interview yesterday morning, while the co-op doesn't get any of its power from Lake Mead and Hoover Dam, it does get a lot of power from Lake Powell and Glen Canyon Dam. Robison told us they've seen a 50% reduction in power from Lake Powell as a result of the ongoing drought affecting the Colorado River. Other carbon-based solutions, such as natural gas and other sources from Deseret Power Electric Cooperative, are covering the power generation deficit. Having access to lower-cost hydroelectric power important to co-ops like Mount Wheeler Power, as 70% of the co-op's expenses directly tied to wholesale power costs. County Commission meets in about 45 minutes at 9 o'clock this morning in the White Pine County Library Conference Room. Among items on the agenda, county officials will receive updates from the health officer and local fire chiefs on fire district operations and wildfire preparedness. Commissioners will also consider submitting comments on a proposed Bureau of Land Management grazing regulation revision before a July 13th deadline. Commission expected to discuss accepting ownership of the old Lund School property at no cost from the White Pine County School District and consider supporting a nearly $500,000 parking lot improvement project at the Kinnear Library in McGill. Other items on the agenda, several state grant awards for emergency management, social services, specialty courts, and approval of a temporary management assignment for the White Pine County Golf Course. That meeting will be broadcast live here on KELY beginning at 9 o'clock. Ely City Council meets tomorrow evening. Several major funding and community development items on the agenda. Council members will consider transferring the city's 2026 private activity bond allocation to the Nevada Rural Housing Authority and to decide who will represent Ely at this year's Nevada Leagues of Cities and Municipalities Conference. The council will also hear updates on efforts to secure additional state and federal funding and hear a quarterly report from the White Pine Chamber of Commerce. Other business includes accepting a $600,000 community development block grant for upgrades to the city's wastewater treatment plant and considering an abatement order to remove trash and debris from two properties on Fay Avenue. The meeting begins at 5 o'clock tomorrow night at the Ely Volunteer Fire Hall. Quick look at the Sheriff's Office blotter sees deputies handled a variety of calls on Monday. Welfare checks in Ely confirmed that family members and children reported as concerns were safe. Deputies also responded to a reported shoplifting attempt at a local business with the investigation ongoing. In the county, deputies investigating the shooting of a calf after a livestock owner reported the animal had been shot. A juvenile riding a dirt bike on a county roadway received a warning. A loose dog picked up and taken to the animal shelter. Other calls included unattended children at a business, a semi-truck creating a traffic hazard on a state highway referred to Nevada State Police, and a dispute over property that deputies determined was a civil matter. Good news from down in Lincoln County, the Grapevine fire now 99% contained, command being transferred to local teams today. It was the largest of 4 wildfires across Lincoln County over the past month. That's now under control. Secretary of State Francisco Aguilar criticizing the Department of Justice after it sent Nevada a letter reminding state officials of federal requirements to ensure only U.S. citizens vote in federal elections. Justice Department requested a response within 5 days outlining Nevada's compliance efforts. Aguilar says the state already complies with federal law and called the letter an unnecessary political move that could undermine confidence in Nevada's elections. He added safeguards are already in place to prevent ineligible voting and said Nevada's elections remain secure. That despite at least a dozen reports from some green card holders that they were automatically registered to vote, that despite being not eligible. 3 men have been convicted in federal court for their roles in a drug trafficking conspiracy that distributed methamphetamine and fentanyl in southern Nevada. According to the Department of Justice, Darrell Glenn Harris, Joey Lamar McRoyal, and Lamar Deshawn Rosser conspired to distribute large quantities of methamphetamine and fentanyl between August of 22 and June of 23. Prosecutors say Harris supplied McRoyal and Rosser with meth, fentanyl, cocaine, and other illegal drugs for distribution in the Las Vegas area. Harris, convicted of conspiracy to distribute controlled substances and possession with intent to distribute. McRoyal and Rosser also found guilty of conspiracy and distribution charges, along with possessing firearms in furtherance of drug trafficking crimes. 3 scheduled to be sentenced October 1st. Each faces a maximum penalty of life in prison. Nevada's voter registration numbers have shifted, Democrats once again holding a slight edge over Republicans in active registered voters. A new report from the Nevada Secretary of State's office shows the state added nearly 21,600 active voters in June. Nonpartisan voters saw the largest increase, adding almost 10,900 registrations and remaining the state's largest voting bloc. Democrats gained 7,700 voters, almost 7,800 during the month, compared with 3,600 new Republican registrations, giving Democrats a narrow lead of just over 500 active voters statewide. Nevada now has more than 2.09 million active registered voters, nonpartisan voters making up just 38% of the total. The Democrats and Republicans each account for just under 28%, the remaining voters affiliated with minor political parties. Developers of what would become Nevada's largest solar and battery storage project facing allegations of illegally using water for construction. Amy Alonso at the Nevada Independent reports this morning the Nevada State Engineer's Office has issued cease and desist orders to Libre Solar and a geothermal company, accusing them of diverting water from unauthorized sources in Lyon County. State officials say water trucks were used to transport water from a geothermal facility and a local rancher's property for construction of the $2.3 billion project. Libre Solar says contractors were working to secure additional water supplies, and the company has agreed to stop using the disputed sources while permits are obtained. The project expected to generate enough electricity to power more than 200,000 homes. And if you needed more reasons to oppose data centers, we have a report from Ely City in the trade publication Cyber News, reporting a contractor working on Meta's data center in Cheyenne, Wyoming, blamed for contaminating the city's wastewater system with a rare bacterium. Meta, of course, the parent company of Facebook. Officials with Cheyenne's Board of Public Utilities said Goat Systems LLC violated industrial wastewater treatment regulations, leading to the discovery of, this is difficult, give me a moment, Cupriavitis giardia earlier this year. The bacteria affected wastewater operations. Officials say it was never found in the city's drinking water, and no human infections have been reported. Cities stop accepting industrial wastewater tied to the data center operations while cleanup and investigations continue. That incident comes as communities nationwide debate the environmental impacts of large-scale data centers. 8:24 for Sahara Motors. That's your check of news from White Pine County and the state of Nevada.
You see lots of commercials on television telling you to drive a little and save a lot. Dealers wanting you to drive to Salt Lake, Elko, Reno, and even Las Vegas. But ask them one question. What happens if there's a problem? Do you have to drive 3, 4, or even 6 hours to get service? Here at Sahara Motors in Ely, we service everything we sell right here in White Pine County. Shop here first, get our best deal, and you get that best deal by telling Shauna that Wyatt sent you by. Then if you want, shop other places. When you account for the drive, you'll find that it pays you to be a part of the Sahara Motors family. Stop by Sahara Motors, just about a mile north of Ely on US 93. Sahara Motors, we are White Pine proud.
Tell Shauna Wyatt sent you by.